It's okay. I don't think anyone watches the recording. There's like 2 views on the recording. The lab recording. All right. So we're going to play with new elements. We're going to play with inputs now. We'll have some placeholder for fun. And we'll have a button. We'll call it send, because it's like sending. Then we'll also have a div, status. Why not? And our application is going to be pretty simple. It's basically whatever I type in here, I press send, and then my screen's going to show me you've typed whatever I typed in there. So if I type blah, it'll be you've typed blah. Something simple like that. Make sure everything's connected. Make sure everything's connected so that I can start scripting it if I need to. So I'll start with taking the elements. But the question is, why do I need all these objects, right? Var, call it key inputs because it's keyword, equal to document dot query selector keyword. So why do I need this? What's the point of this? What's the point of making this variable? Why do I need this here? Why do I need the keyword? To grab whatever the user typed, right? You need to get a hold of it so that you can know what they type. Right? You might not know what to do yet to get that, but for sure you need to use it later on because you need to know what they typed. So for getting what they typed later. Okay, next. Why do I need the button? What's the point of the button? Why do I want to grab the button? What's the point of this button? Yeah? So it's for, because we have to click on it so that we can get the thing, right? Get the input. So for detecting, click. Okay, then finally, what's the point of the status div over here? Why do I need to get this? What's this used for at all? To display what? To display what they typed. Okay. So this is for displaying what they typed. What I'm trying to continuously emphasize is that we don't just make things for no reason. Should be able to differentiate why you're doing a query selector for certain items, right? So that you don't randomly just go, okay, I'm just gonna get the app. Because you saw that in the other app.js, we got the app. We don't get the app here because we don't use the app here. So there's a reason that you're using everything. That you're implementing with the variables. So when we click on send, all we want to do is show what they type. And to do that, we can do status div dot inner text with a capital T. And we'll make it equal to you've typed and then whatever they type. So how do I get what they typed? How do I get what they type here? The input. First is the input, right? We need to get something from the input. Hey, what's a special attribute that input has? You remember from last year? What's an attribute that an input has? It has an ID, it has a type, it has a placeholder. What's another attribute that only an input really has? Value. Value is the one. So to get what they type, it's the value of the inputs. All right, let's test this. So blah. You've typed blah. That's what I typed. Blah. All right. So, it's time to apply some more conditions on here. Reason, principle, and how we relate everything together. Simple reasoning. When we type keywords inside, there are a lot of reasons that we want to apply in many different kinds of application. For example, one of the reasoning is that when if I want it to be kid friendly, that means I don't want any. What don't I want any? Swear words. I don't want any profanity onto what they type. No. So that means we have to build conditions to limit what they can see after they press type and send it. All right. What do people usually do to limit to condition the swear? What do they do as a result? When you type a swear word somewhere and then you submit something, what do? They star the swear words, right? Now, before you even go there, I gave you my reasoning. Now you have to think about how it translates numerically, if anything. We don't want profanity. That's the reasoning. What does that have to do with numbers? Because the only way we can condition things is if it's number related. To understand this properly, you have to understand what we're typing in the first place. So if I'm going to ask you the following, how do we compare words? You just go, hey, is this the same word or not? But if I'm going to ask you the following, tell me the difference between this number and this number. What's the difference between this data and this data? Pretend there's no space or comma. What's the difference between this and this? There's no difference. They are the same thing. 1 is the same as 1, the data. Are these different then? Are you sure? Yes. Okay. How about something like this? Are they different? Yes. Okay, so numbers can be comparable, right? If they are a different number, that's a logic. right? You would never say, oh, 10 and 1 is the same thing. You would never say something like that, right? So, what's a swear word? What is that? It's a whole bunch of characters. If I say A over here, A is not actually like the letter A here. It's just a whole bunch of numbers that makes up this character display of A. So if I say A and A here, is it the same thing? Yes. What if something like this? Are they the same? Okay, so you also understand that the characters in their comparison numerical value are different. Okay, so let's say this 4 set of characters I'm comparing is SHAT, shat. Okay? If I type blob in here, or blah in here, are they the same thing? They're not the same, right? What if I type this? Are they the same? Why not? They're both shat. One's capitalized. So capital has a different number associated than small characters. So what are we really saying when we do character comparison? We're really checking if the numbers are the same. Okay? So when we say, okay, let's make a condition, our reasoning is that they can't type certain words. That means there are certain characters that when we compare it to cannot be equivalent because they are all number related. Okay? So we do the following. Let's make a variable first, just to make everything nice and clear. The keyword, we're going to make a keyword in the beginning. It's going to equal to blank like that. But what is this? What am I trying to associate this variable with? What am I trying to associate this variable with? Like, why would I even want this variable? What am I trying to associate with? The swear word? Or just, actually, it's just this over here. Because in the beginning, there's nothing, right? Hence why there's nothing in the beginning. All right. So I'm trying to associate things. It's not just random, Don't just think, oh, he made a variable keyword. I don't, why, There's reasoning for those. And then afterwards, before I change what to type inside, what to put in the status, I'm going to start making conditions. I need to take my reasoning and start applying principles to it. First, I'm going to make sure this variable, the information that's stored inside, is exactly what I typed inside. So these data are now stored in the variable. Then now I create my condition. If the keyword is the exact same thing as the character SHANT combined, then I need to let them know to stop. And then otherwise, it's whatever they type inside. Ignore. Maybe it's a different person. If voice does not equal to Henry, ignore. So we can test them. Does SHANT, this is equivalent to the character SHANT. So stop. Otherwise, blah, you've typed blah. So this is the how you do comparison. And there's a difference. 1 equal and 2 equals. That's a common confusion. Everyone thought why one's 1 equal and one's 2 equal? Like, why don't I just do equal like that? When you use 1 equal in any computing language, it's saying to put information inside, associate information inside. When you use 2 equals, it means you're making a comparison between 2 pieces of data. 2 equals is a comparison between 2 pieces of data. When you use 2 equal, that's like taking my blue jacket on my left hand and taking my red jacket on the right hand and go, are they the same thing? When you use 1 equal, that's like taking a blue jacket on my left hand and then throw it in the garbage can and then grab my red jacket. That's 1 equal. Right? So that is very different. 2 equals will give you whether something is true or false. 1 equal would not do any of that. Okay, so let's go over what's going on in the scripts over here. 1 line at a time again. I re-emphasize this point because you should get yourself used to understanding how a computer speaks. Starting from line 8, it's saying go to the input, or not go to input, take the reference of the input, take whatever they type inside the value, and store it inside the keyword reference. Store it. And afterwards, find the keyword, find the reference, and make a comparison. So your computer does a logical deduction. So if I type blah over here, the characters are BLAH. Is BLAH the same as SHAT? True or false? So if it's false, what happens? It will skip everything within that brace itself, right? It's false. Skip. Else is for all other conditions, do this. So that's why you see you've typed whatever in here. Now you may go, why do we need an else? Why do we not just do something like this and it would just be the same? If you do it like this, what happens is let's say I wrote SHAT. Okay, logical deduction again. Is the character SHAT equivalent to the character SHAT? Yes, true. It doesn't skip, right? It will run line 11. And then what happens afterwards? It will also run line 14. What does that mean? It means it will replace, it will, on the div itself, it would type stop, and then right after, in like a microseconds later, it will replace that text with you've typed whatever you typed inside. So you just replace what you did before because this line still executes. Whereas with else, is that if it's shat, it's true, right? It will not skip this, and will run it, and it will skip the else. Does that make sense? So in the simplest way is that if you don't have the else there, what would happen in an easy explanation is, let's say you have to buy lunch, and you will always eat the last item that you buy. Okay? If you bought sushi the first time, then you're gonna eat that sushi. But a little bit later on, 10 minutes later on, you bought your sushi, but then you bought taco as well. So you throw your sushi away and you eat the taco. That's what's happening over here. You bought the sushi. You did because you went to the shop and it's open. It's true. So you got your sushi here. That's your CPU running. You paid your money. The CPU ran. That's too bad, right? You used up the resources because you're still buying taco later on. Now you had that else statement. Oops. If you had that else statement, that means if you see sushi first, you will buy sushi. If there's no sushi store there, if it's false, then you're not gonna buy it. You're gonna go and buy taco because you know the taco is gonna be open every day, 24/7. So that's how you can interpret this if and else statement kind of way. Yeah.
So if the top one's true, then the bottom one is if?
Yes. Now we have a new limitation over here again. We only have one word. I want more words. What do I do? Comma? Wrong. But good try. No, it doesn't. Does it? Really? That must be. No way. That would be news to me too. Okay, let's see it. I need to see this. Blarg. That is.
But before you use one equal, it works.
If you use one equal, it'll work. Then it's wrong. It doesn't. Okay, good. I thought that was like something new that I don't know about. Fooled me there. Troll. So, we want more words on there. This is how you would apply more words. Aside from if and else, you can have an else if. Else if keyword is equivalent to, let's say, dog. Then it would detect the word shat, and it will also detect the word dog. And only if they're not both shat or dog, then it will go to the last else, which it says you type whatever you want to type in there. And the key thing here is that it doesn't have to be just text. There's a lot of things you can do with this that makes this interesting. Status div dot, instead of inner text, we can do something like inner HTML. And what we can do is we can go and grab an image, let's say dog image. Gotta copy that image asset. And we can go image source is equal to this source. So we have shat and dog, which gives you dog images. And you might be confused with why not inner text? And why do we use inner HTML? Well, why do you think we don't use inner text and use inner HTML. You should try doing inner text with the image tag and see the difference. Semicolon on the last. There we go. Just gotta. Kristen?
Broken house. Unexpected broken house.
We have that.
Oh,
It's not right. Get rid of it. That's not right. Because that will literally use the single
Depends on the issue. It just can't keep up with the video. So 80. 60 is really still different. Yeah. My phone.
Really?
It's one of those things that you can't. You always want to.
Plus. You combine the word. Actually, you can't use this is not the right way. You're using Google searches. You have to copy image address. Just copy image
So usually I need to copy the like
It's just like copying it.
yeah. Oh, I couldn't like copy this word like did you get it? So when you see the image, and then you right click the image.
Right click on it.
Yeah, and then you see copy image on it.
Oh, okay.
And then you paste copy image address. And then you paste copy and paste that link to that place.
Equals sex. Copy link to address.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What's wrong with mine?
You copy the image link so that when you see the image on the Google side, then you see yeah, like
this one.
copy image address. Yeah, there's copy image address.
Oh, oh, this one. Please.
So, what's the difference between that?
Is that a microscope? Pull that out of the back of your neck.
Should 1898
Okay. All right, let's finish up then. So you can do anything on this. I'm just going to show you what the difference is between inner HTML and inner text. Inner text, if I do inner text, it'll look something like this. Dog, and then you see the words, the image tag. But in inner HTML, it actually shows an image. So what's the difference then? Inner HTML makes HTML elements, whereas text ignores HTML elements and just shows the text itself. Okay. Yes.
my image doesn't come up.
Probably use the wrong link.
But it says why is this capital K? Oh, maybe.
All right. Now, let me ask you then. How many items can we compare before we hit our limit? Endless opportunities. One chance. Palms are sweaty. Endless opportunities. And endless words. So you can do as many else if as you want. So let's go over what goes on in the code. If I type, for example, blah, it will go, does the character BLAH, is it the same as the character SHAT? True or false? False. So it skips line 11 because it skips everything that's in here. Else if, it'll look at the second one. True or false? False. It'll skip here. And finally, because there's no other conditions, it will execute the last line. If I type dog, it'll go, does the character DOG, is that equivalent to SHAT? False, so it will skip line 11. Else if DOG is equivalent to DOG. True, so it will not skip this, and it will run this, and it will skip the last line. And then if I type chat, SHAT, is that equivalent to SHAT? True. So it will not skip this, and it will run this line and skip the rest of them. And that's how it works.
So if I want to distinguish like the capital letter S and capital letter
That's for another day. Right now you can just do else if. Capital S. And finally, a very common mistake, some people will do something like this. Very common mistake. Okay? Don't type this, by the way. Just want to show you a very common misunderstanding. It won't even be called mistake, but a misunderstanding. What's wrong with this? Doesn't this work? If I type chat, it will say stop. And if I type anything else, it'll say you've typed whatever you type. And if I type dog, it will show this. And if I type anything else, it will show whatever I type. Why wouldn't this work? This is where understanding computer language and the way they speak is important.
Because it's going to see it's not chat and it's going to default to you typed, right?
Yes. So if I type chat, it's not going to work. It will go first. If I type chat, so first of all, it's computer deduction time. Logic deduction for a computer. Is the character SHAT the same as SHAT?
False. Let's say false.
No, it's true. Characters SHAT is the same. If I type SHAT with this, then this is true. Then it will run this part, right?
Yeah.
It should say stop.
But if it's not true.
If it's not, it will run this part.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's say it is true.
Okay.
Because it is. Because SHAT is SHAT. There's no other way around it. It should say stop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what happens if I press send. You type chat. And the reason is, after this happens, which line does it skip? The else over here, right? It skips this. But that's not the end of our script. It goes on to the next part. Is the character SHAT the equivalent of DOG? False. So it skips this, and it will run the bottom over here. Right? Then you just messed up your entire application because the logical deduction, the way the computer runs, is not the way that you want it to run. So there are a lot of little tidbits that you have to think about. But the easiest way to engage is that you understand how your computer is running the code. If you understand how they're running it, then it's easier for you. Okay, whew, I'm done. The key part of today is reasoning and how you turn that reason into a numerical format. Because only through numerical format can you do all your conditioning in a computer. If you have a creative idea you want to execute, you need to know how they're related to numbers in your idea. You want to build a beach with people swimming across the beach. You know, that you can do that. Easy execution. Only thing you have to do is figure out how all those relate to numbers. How does people swimming on a beach relate to any numbers? How does a beach with waves moving relate to the numbers? That's your reasoning. I have waves moving. I have people swimming on the beach. How do they relate to a number whatsoever? Because you have to condition your number afterwards properly. And with that, that's how we take the numbers, something as simple as no spamming and limited colors, to reference it as 0 and condition the number so that it doesn't go over 255 and condition number so that it doesn't go over 30. So that's really what's important for you to move on. And it's tough. It's normal to get confused, and it's normal to have a meltdown in your brain because you probably, I don't know if you have, but you can let me know. you probably have never conditioned yourself to think in this certain format before. Someone just say, hey, don't spam. You don't think, don't click more than 10 times. I mean, if you do, good for you, then you're 10 steps ahead of everybody else. But that's how you need to practice so that your brain is more conditioned towards that way. Any questions on this? If not, when's your test?
February?
Oh my. Next week?
No, it's only the 18th, man. Come on, man. We still got like 2 weeks. It's on the 5th.
So your review package will come out today. So you have 2 weeks to handle that review package. It'll be the first one. It'll be probably the toughest one out of the 3 because it's the first time. Yeah.
So for the assessment, is it going to be on like the understanding of numerical logic within JavaScript, or is it going to be like syntax and like writing it out? Or is it just going to be like questions?
There will be 2 hours for you. There will be a package. If you make it work, if you make everything work, as described in the package, then you win.
But no Google.
No, you can Google anything you want.
Oh.
You can definitely search for anything you want. You can ask the second years how that went. but you can definitely search for anything you want.
I thought it was going to be off top.
You can look at your tutorials, you can look at the assignments. But I'm going to tell you right now, just because of that fact, doesn't mean it's easy. Because if you don't understand, okay, actually this is important. If you don't understand what you're typing, you're screwed either way. All right, you can copy and paste as much as you want. You don't understand what you're typing, you're screwed. I can tell you that. You can ask any of the second years on that. So if I were you to practice this, first you have to get comfortable with typing your syntaxes properly. Like what's click? This is the syntax for click. If you waste 1 hour figuring out that you misspelled function, and that's your problem at that point, right? So that's so that you don't waste any brain cells or whatnot misspelling things. And then afterwards, after you know what each part does, like what's if, what's that keyword? Why do we have keyword? Why do we have key imp? Why do you have send but? Those things will get comfortable with understanding why you have those, and then you can copy and paste all you want. You can ace it. But otherwise, I would be very worried if you're not comfortable with it. All right. Okay. So you have one more tutorial. Next week there will be none. This week there is one more on the conditionings. And then you have your review package. It's going to be due on the day of the test, the night of the test, I should say. So just like previously in, what's that course called? System Admin. It's due on the night after the test. So you have more time after the test to go through it. But if I were you, I would probably try to have it completed, even if it doesn't work, before the test, so that you have an idea of how the test is going to go for you and what are the problems that you can potentially face. If you're a horrible speller, too bad, right? You gotta figure it out. So we'll call it that then. Yeah, you gotta submit it afterwards. All right, I'll see you next week.